I think I've asked this question here a few times, but I probably have viewers that have joined me since I've last asked this question. So I'll post this here again on UFOs. Now, O.V.N.I. I don't remember exactly what that stands for. I think it's something in French, but I may be wrong. But anyway, if somebody knows here, they can let me know on O.V.N.I. But I'm going to get to Travis Walton here at the end of this video on on my take on him. Who he is. He's here, lives here in northern Arizona. But anyway, if you can say the vastness of the universe, of the cosmos, hell, our best telescopes, radio and optical telescopes can only see a part of what we believe out there, and even what we can see, even what we can measure with radio telescopes is an immense universe. Just what we can see, and we've found, our astronomers have found a handful of planets in what they call the Goldilocks zone, one that may have an oxygen nitrogen atmosphere that might be in that zone that could support something that we would consider, life. Now, there may exist life in the cosmos that exists so differently that, from anything that we would consider to be living, that we could be looking at it and not even know that it was life. Now, that's just as always possible. There could be beings visiting here from other dimensions, from actual physical beings that just exist so differently that we don't know that they're alive. They've actually Star Trek encountered out a handful of times. They would be trying to terraform a planet that already had life, that they were disturbing. They interacted with the way that let the people terraform the planet know that they were there. And of course, at that time, they left. That's a subject for a different video. But I'm asking my viewers, what do you think on UFOs? Do you think they're, to me, like I said, considering the vastness of the cosmos? Yeah, there's got to be all kind of, the cosmos must be teeming with life of one type or another. Now, whether our little rock here, we call Earth, whether our civilization is interesting enough for them to come visit here, for them to want to observe us, I don't know. I can't answer that question. Only they could answer that question. Now, there's something that was posed, by science fiction back in maybe the late 40s through mid 60s that apparently UFOs would land and tell somebody that they were upset at us, splitting the atom, poisoning the Earth for with radiation. Now, if you look at outer space, there's all kind of hardcore radiation already out there. So I kind of seriously doubt anybody would be, from outer space would be worried about what we were doing here. But then again, I think that, any being existing on a planet thousands and millions of light years away, I don't think they would be, they would care if we were splitting the atom and poisoning our civilization. Now, there's another theory that, there may be beings that have existed, for, a long time, that exist within the core of the Earth. That's a popular theory among a lot of science fiction buffs, that there may be, one civilization. Maybe they're close to us, maybe they're completely different, but the theory that there are beings that exist within the core of the Earth. And yeah, I can see why they would be upset about, we humans poisoning, the Earth with radiation, because it would affect them too. Now, if you believe that it's the hollow Earth theory. If you believe that, and I'm thinking there may be tunnels down there. There may be beings that pre-exist, existed before us humans were sentient beings here on the planet. That's possible. I'm certainly really be willing to discuss it with somebody if somebody has that belief. Now, on Travis Walton. Now, let me give the story. Now, this happened. The main part of his story, because he's still around. He's still giving lectures and stuff. I think he's a pretty decent guy. I think he's a very interesting guy. Now, back in 1975, if you watch the movie A Fire in the Sky, that's loosely based upon Travis Walton's, experience. Now, I'm going to get to why I'm covering him. Well, there's several reasons I'm covering him, because I find him interesting. But anyway, in 75, he was... He had a logging crew working, in the northern part of Arizona. He had a contract with the Forest Service where him and his crew would go out and, and clear cut parts of the forest. That's what his job was. Says that was in 75. Now, he had disappeared. Him and his logging crew um, had reported to the Yavapai County Sheriff, Yavapai or Coconino, I don't remember. Could, but anyway, that the Travis had disappeared. So the sheriff didn't know what was going on. Well, this crew had told the sheriff that he was abducted by a UFO. Of course, the sheriff didn't know quite what to think. He's thinking, well, was it really an abduction? Did this maybe the crew got in some type of argument? Maybe they killed him and buried him out there. The sheriff didn't know what to think, and he started investigating him. Now, all of the crew, even Travis Walton later, all of the crew passed, lie detector except one, and one guy, back then, cannabis was illegal, and they kind of thought that this guy was kind of apprehensive on law enforcement because he was worried that he might get in trouble for his cannabis use. That was kind of the prevailing theory at that time. But anyway, after about 5 days, Travis's family gets a phone call from a guy identifying himself as Travis Walton, and the family said, "No, you're just somebody messing with us." The guy goes, "No, I'm Travis. I'm at a, I'm at a payphone." And the family says, "Well, describe what you see from, from your payphone," and he's talking about this gas station's restaurant that come up by name. And the family goes, "Yeah, we know where that's at. It's a couple miles from here. It's the middle of the night." They said, "Hey, just stay there and wait for us, and we'll come get you." And they came and picked him up from that payphone. Sure enough, it was Travis. Of course, he was in, pretty not in the best of shape. They took him to a hospital, and over the past next few days, he related his story, of being abducted by a UFO, and he was actually there he thought he was only gone for a few hours, but he was gone for about 5 days. Now, right after that, he gave an interview on a Phoenix radio station. I was 18 in 1975, and I remember that it was so intensely interesting. I remember, of course, you can find the interview here on YouTube if you want to find it. He gave, said he would, the thing that's intrigued me, but not only did he see the little gray guys aboard this UFO, there was these human-looking clones, people that all look like each other, and you can find this here on on the internet and on YouTube. His interview where he's talking about these human-looking clones, and I'm guessing they're probably, if you want to believe Travis, and I believe him. I think he's a pretty decent guy. I think he's pretty believable, but now if a technically advanced civilization had arrived on Earth and it was their agenda to take over, it was their agenda to rule everything, I'm sure they could, either by just saying, "Hey, we're more superior than you are," just taking over by gentle persuasion, or taking over by force. I'm sure they had the means to do that. So I don't think that's their agenda. I don't think that's their objective. Now, what their agenda is, I couldn't tell you. But I'm just wondering how many of these human-looking clones are part of our civilization, and they may have implanted memories. They may think of themselves as human as anybody else. They may not know that they're these alien clones. Just something to ponder on, something I find interesting. I'm asking my viewers, my subscribers, what's your beliefs, what's your take? Now, I'm on the fence. I don't know, but I'm with Carl Sagan. If you know who he was, Carl Sagan was a very famous, I don't know if he's a scientist, cosmologist, physicist. I don't know quite what it was. Let me call him a cosmologist, because that's most of what he did was astronomy. But Carl Sagan said, "I want to believe, but show me the proof." Now, I'm paraphrasing there, but that's what his thing was. Show me the proof. Anyway, love you. Let's stay interesting. Let's all stay curious. Bye-bye.